behaving? How are we responding to events? How are we handling adversity? We're not doing very well. Well, hello, welcome back to the Move Podcast, motivating others virtually every day. What a beautiful Monday morning it is here down in South Florida. Hope everybody's enjoying their Monday. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Let's get this thing started. So we had an awesome slate of football games. I don't think the college football games disappointed at all. The Oregon Indiana game was an absolute blowout. But Indiana, they're just ridiculous. But we'll see. Can the U match up? I do think the U's defense is definitely stronger than Oregon's defense. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. My Rams got a dub in North Carolina, beat out the Panthers on Saturday, so that was exciting. We still got a game to go. We still got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans tonight, so we'll see who comes out on top on that one. And we got the UFC events coming up. They're going to start being on Paramount Plus now, so that's pretty exciting as well. So we got some awesome things going on in the sports world. If you're a sports fan like myself, I just like to kind of highlight and recap them. Let's get this thing started. So before I dive into what I really wanted to talk about today, I wanted to cover something because I see a lot of things, whether I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter. I see it everywhere, X, where we just fight and fight and fight, and we engage in these online keyboard wars and battles, and there's a lot of false narratives out there, a lot of news outlets. They just blatantly lie to us. They blatantly will, in my opinion, mismark or mistitle something just to catch the audience's attention for clicks, and they send the wrong message. So let me just say this, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on politically. It's gonna be a crazy time if we get to a point where you see me out there willingly just battling it out with law enforcement officers, federal agents. It doesn't matter who it is. For me to get in between there and disrupt what they're trying to accomplish, whether I agree with it or disagree with it, I got a wife and kids. Look, I'm not just gonna go out there and throw myself out there. We're not all supposed to be heroes here, right? Put your capes away. We can't do this, guys. And we're taught at a very, very young age, or at least I was, that you respect law enforcement, you respect federal officials, you respect elected officials, whether you voted for them or you didn't vote for them. But we live in a world now to where if we don't get our way, then we absolutely sabotage. We go on these rampages. It doesn't make any sense to me. We've got to get to a point in our society where, especially in this country specifically, where we can be okay with agreeing to disagree, where we can be okay with voicing our opinions when we vote and leaving it at that. Okay? Now, we could go into the voting thing. That's a whole different conversation that I'm not going to get into. That is where you go and voice your opinion. And I know somebody came on or replied to one of my videos and said it's different today because it's about human rights. Guys, they're still battling out the same thing that they battled it out 30 years ago, 50 years ago. It doesn't. Now, the only difference is we all now somewhat have a voice, so to speak, because we can do something like what I am doing. We have social media platforms that also give you a quote-unquote a voice, and that's really what the difference is. And so now we can go on there and just get everybody's attention by doing something crazy or saying something crazy. Then that garners followers and likes and shares and blah, blah, blah. It takes the internet by storm and so on and so forth. And then, to me, that's one of the biggest differences. because they're still, guys, the stuff that they talk about politically is the same stuff. It's the same stuff over and over and over, and it has been. Okay. Now we've added some stuff in there with some sexuality things I'm not going to get into, but there's been some stuff definitely added to the pot. Um, but I'm not going to get into any of that stuff. That's not why I'm here. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. It doesn't matter. I don't want to see um, people put in a position where they have to make a decision to take another American citizen's life. Um, you know, what happened in Minnesota was tragic. It was tragic for the lady that got shot. It was tragic for the guy that had to make that split second decision to pull the trigger or not pull the trigger, and all that is sad. And like I said, if you've never done a simulation where you go in and you have to make the right decision whether to shoot or not shoot, you ever done one of them like police simulations? I don't want to hear it because I'm gonna tell you right now that stuff is way harder than what you think. I'm not defending the guy, but I am saying that that line of work and those split second decisions when you're out in the real, no. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not for me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And my thoughts and my prayers are with that gentleman and his family, and my thoughts and prayers are with the lady and her kids and their family. The whole thing is tragic. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. It's just tragic. Lives were lost, and the guilt that he's gonna have to live with, it's just, yeah. My heart goes out to the whole situation, and it shouldn't matter. Kind of like the Charlie Kirk thing. It shouldn't have mattered what side of the fence you were on. The whole thing was tragic. It was tragic that Charlie Kirk was shot, and his kids and his wife, and the prayers and thoughts to them, because now their whole world changed in a blink of an eye. And then also thoughts and prayers to the alleged young man that did it, that was so, in my opinion, brainwashed to the point where he thought it was okay or the right thing to do just to go kill somebody. Um, how sad. How sad to be that young, but to feel that enraged over somebody else's words, and it has nothing to do with your political stance, okay? Like I hear other people's politics that I don't disagree with, and I never once think about beating them up, shooting them, killing them, kidnapping them, silencing. Like, they're supposed to have a voice just like I have a voice. That's what makes America America, and that's okay. Okay, we can't get all wrapped up in being okay with just killing people. And so my thoughts and my prayers are with all those that have been impacted by this kind of stuff. I truly hope we can get to a point where the stuff cools down. We're not so angry. We're not so just running around waiting to snap. Right? That's no way to live. This is a wonderful, beautiful country that offers freedoms that unlike most countries in the world, if any other country in the world. I mean, you see like Iran, they don't even have internet. They shut it off for their They shut it off for all their citizens, and so they have no access to anything. We have it so cush here compared to a lot of other places, and I definitely think we take that for granted. And we're too busy fighting each other and killing each other. And it's like, good Lord, guys, come on. Like, we've got to be better than this. We've got to set better examples for our future generations coming up. We also just have to be better human beings each and every day, individually. Okay, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody specifically, but we collectively have to improve and become better citizens of this country, be better friends, be better neighbors, and so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying. So yeah, it doesn't. I just like to send a message that I don't think it really matters what side of the fence. To me, this isn't a political thing. This is a human thing. How are we behaving? How are we responding to events? How are we handling adversity? We're not doing very well. We're not doing very well at all, and that's sad. That's sad that we've come to this point. Um, Thankfully and luckily, here in South Florida, I mean, I guess you hear it and you see it on social media, but I don't. When I drive around or when I'm out and about, I don't really see it ever. I haven't seen it yet. These protests and things like that, I've not seen any of that. But down here, it's almost like we're still in the United States. We still have all the freedom that that the United States offers, but it's almost like we're separate from everybody else. It's like all that stuff's happening up there, and they're all crazy, and we're just kind of nestled down here in this beautiful paradise where people get along, people love each other, people are out and about, soaking up the sunshine, interacting, engaging, networking, all these things. And I'm thankful and I'm blessed that that is the case. But I just wish the rest of the United States could be like this little corner of Southwest Florida, because I think a lot more people would be a lot happier and we'd have a lot less violence. Moving on. So one of the thing I really wanted to talk to today is, I know it's a new year. With the new year, there are people that are going to be trying to switch jobs, switch careers. So I wanted to talk about job interviewing. So I have a multitude of experience when it comes to interviewing people, from a management level, from a field level. So I kind of understand exactly when you interview somebody, what are the things you're looking for. When you ask certain questions, what answer are you looking for? Things like that. So I just kind of wanted to stop in and help those that maybe you're looking to jump to a different career. Maybe you're not happy in your job, and so you're going to try to figure something out, or maybe just test the waters. And so, but I will tell you, out of all the, I've interviewed, I couldn't even tell you how many people have interviewed. It's a lot. It's a lot. But very, very few actually interviewed and actually, when you walk away, you're like, man, that was a really good interview. They did a really good job. Most of the time, it was like, yeah, I like this, but, because there's always something. So let me try to help you guys out a little bit here. Well, the first one is the obvious one, which I have already covered, which is when they ask you, right when the interview starts, tell me about yourself. Do not tell them about your life story. That is not what they are asking you. They are asking you to sell yourself to them. Why are you the right person for the job? And it's okay to highlight, oh, married with a couple kids at home, but honestly, what really brings me here is I have, my career started here, and you start going into why are you a good fit for that role? Okay, that is the first question that's usually asked in every interview, is tell me about yourself. That means tell me why you fit this job. Okay. Then they're going to ask you, tell me about a time where you had to correct a coworker, and how did that situation play out? Right? You're going to get asked things like that. Tell me a situation, blah blah blah. Tell me a situation, blah blah blah. Okay. Can you name a situation, blah blah blah. Happens all the time, right? That's interview questions. Okay. But it's important you understand, A, the reason why it's being asked, and B, what's the answer that they're looking for when they ask. Okay. So, an example, tell me about a time you corrected a coworker at work, and tell me how did this play out? How did it go? Okay, if you're interviewing for a management position, you are asked this question. They're asking you to see, can you coach people? Okay, what they're looking for is, were you able to coach somebody in a calm manner without blowing up, without drama being had, and were you able to diffuse the situation on your own and peacefully, but yet still get it corrected at the same time? That's what they're looking for. Okay, the example you should provide that answer. Okay, so understand that's the reason why, and the answer that needs to be provided is, hey, I saw Susie doing this. I thought it was unsafe due to what our protocols were. So I just went up to say, hey, Susie, blah blah, we shouldn't do this. Remember, blah blah blah. And she thanked me for reminding her, and blah blah blah. We went on about our merry way. Okay, that's the answer they're looking for, right? Now, let me give you a little secret here. And I don't like this question in interview. I very rarely ask the question. Tell me your biggest strength and what's your biggest weakness. I don't like those questions. The reason I don't like those questions is I find it very difficult for somebody to truly identify, this is my strength and this is my weakness in their professional life. The reason being is, in the professional world, we are very stroke deprived, meaning we don't really ever get told good job, kudos. You hear that? So if we're not being we don't have that feedback in the professional world. How are we supposed to know what we're doing well? We know what we think we do well, okay, but very few of us actually get stopped and get told that, hey man, like you're really good at this. This is exceptional. This is awesome, man. I want you to continue doing this. Well, like we don't really get that in the professional world. Okay, that's not the vibe that we have right now in our professional world in the United States. Okay. So I don't like the question because I think you're asking a question that is they're just going to give you an answer based on, well, I think I do it this way. You may hire them like, yeah, dude, you suck at that, but you're really good at this. Has anybody ever told you this? Well, no. Okay, well, that's because I've seen that often where because I kept all my every interview I ever did, and the people that I hired will tell you this. I kept all my interviews. Okay, I'd always print it out, their resume or their application, and I would jot a bunch of notes down on it. And if I ever had any issues, I'd go back to that. But hey, you told me here. I asked you. So they'll tell you I did. I kept them. But the same thing, the weakness thing. There is a way around it. I mean, I would always try to highlight not a strength as a weakness, but highlight something off of your strengths as a weakness. An example. Um, One of the questions when I was asked this, when I was trying to get my first management position, I was at Schwann's, and I was asked, what's your biggest weakness? My response was passion. I think sometimes, especially when we get into a contest, um, I'm very competitive, so you have to tell me it's you versus anybody. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough for me to go get it. And we entered a contest, and I was like, okay, guys, let's go. Blah blah blah. We're gonna show them what's up. We're the best. Blah blah blah. And then we came back, and my team did nothing. We sucked. And I had talked some smack on a call in that morning, and so the following morning when my team didn't perform, I looked like a clown. Okay. And so that was an opportunity for me as a young leader to understand, hold on, my passion is getting in the way of me leading this team the right way. I need to come up with a plan, a direct plan that everybody understands that we can follow that's going to lead us to a path of victory, a path of success. And so I dialed it back, came up with a plan, and we whooped everybody's you know what and won the contest. But I had to get out of my own way because I need to understand that not everybody's like me. Not everybody's wired to compete. I'm a very competitive person. To this day, I'm still competitive. This is a true story. This is not made up. Um, but that was so when somebody asked me what's your weakness, I always just throw that because honestly, is passion really a weakness? No. Now, in that example, did it get in the way of me leading effectively? Absolutely, it did. So that's so understanding don't oh, my weakness is sometimes I don't like to work, or sometimes I don't show up. Like obviously when you answer that question, you have to be very strategic on what response you're giving to somebody, right? Because you can literally sink your ship on that question, and it happens often. I don't like to ask the question. That's why I just kind of stay away from that question. I think there's a lot better questions that could be asked in an interview versus what's your biggest strength, what's your biggest weakness. I don't know. Look at their resume. Look at their application. You tell me. What do you see on there? As an interviewer, so I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth. When you see somebody that has a lot of job history, right? They've had 5 or 6 jobs in 2 years. Okay, call that out in the interview, like straight up. See what their response is. See how much if they fidget, if they whatever the case may be, call it out. Say, hey Susie, you've had a lot of jobs here. It's not looking like you've held anything for too long. I need you to tell me right now how do I know if I hire you today, how are you that you're going to be here in a year? Based on what I'm seeing, that's not the case. What's going on? Call it out and see what they say, because you'd be surprised. Not everybody that just because you see that doesn't. I always call those things as red flags, not disqualifiers, But you need to address the red flags on the application, on the resume. Um, don't because then you're just gonna assume, oh well, I'm not hiring this person because they're a job hopper or they can't hold a job or whatever the case may be. Um, I always give somebody an opportunity to explain it to me. Maybe something happened. Maybe something was going on, and there was an individual that ended up with that I hired that his resume just looked terrible. I mean, he was job, 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 job. So I brought him in for an interview. I didn't honestly even want to interview him, but brought him in and I asked him straight up, like, "Hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, this doesn't look good on my end. It's help, see it from my lens really quick and see what I'm looking at. And do you understand why?" He's like, "Oh, absolutely, I can see. Okay, okay. What's going on, man? Like, I can't just hire somebody that that's gonna leave in a week, right? That doesn't make any sense for the company, for me, for you, for anybody involved." And come to find out, he had recently, so he had COVID, and he had the was it called long haulers COVID or COVID long hauler something, where his symptoms just kept persisting. And so he was sick all the time, and come to find out, they found out that he was anemic, and got him taken care of. Anyways, he was back to finally being healthy again. Okay, and so I hired him, and the dude was phenomenal. But had I only looked at his history there, I'd have missed on it completely. Right? So ask if you're an interviewer. Don't assume anything. Um, and the other question that I think is asked frequently is, why do you think you're a good fit for this position? Why did you apply for this position? Okay, it's however they want to word it. You get the question though. Again, understand why it's being asked and understand what the answer needs to be. Okay, it's being asked because that is them saying, okay, whenever you answered the tell me about yourself, you did not sell yourself well enough. Otherwise, the question would have been like, I know you said this and this and this, but outside of that, is there anything else of why you feel like you're a good fit? They're gonna acknowledge the fact that you've already sold yourself quite a bit. If none of that is acknowledged, and they just say, why do you think you're a good fit, or why did you apply? That means you're not. You just chalk that up into the L column. When you said you're about me, you didn't quite hit the mark, and that's okay. They're giving you another opportunity to sell yourself to them. Why are you a good fit for this job? Why are you a good fit for the role? Why did you even apply? Why are you interested? Okay. Now that you understand that, the second thing is you got to sell yourself here, 100%. An example. Why did you apply for this role? I'm more into leadership and management, so I'm gonna answer it like I'm applying for a management or leadership role. But if somebody asks me, why did you apply for this role, or why are you interested? It's simple, very simple. Sounds something like this: "Hey Susie, I applied for this role because I feel like with my experience and my expertise in leadership and management, this is right up my alley, and what an opportunity it would be to come in here and lead a team and develop a culture, and finally have some retention around the building and that camaraderie and just push each other each and every day." And it sounds like based on what I could see and read online, that your guys' mission, vision, and values is absolutely right up my alley as well. And I think we're just going to be a really good fit for each other with my leadership style and what you guys are trying to accomplish here. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting the opportunity to lead a team here. Okay. There was confidence. There was intelligence. Um, that's your time to be a little cocky with my experience and my expertise. Okay. That's your opportunity to sell yourself, right? Don't, well, I think I can if I had an opportunity. I think, don't, no. That's a DQ. Throw that in the trash. We're not doing that. Okay. You've got to be confident. You've got to be a little arrogant there. Don't cross the line and say you're God's greatest gift to green earth, right? We're not. There's lines still here. Stay within the ditches here. Stay on the road. Don't veer right or left, but sell yourself a little bit. I mean, hopefully that makes sense. I'm asking, does that make sense? Like somebody didn't answer me, but hopefully that makes sense. Let's knock both my hats off. And so that is it, guys. I mean, that's just hopefully that helps on the job interviewing and stuff. I know it's just a new year, and some people are going to be looking for work or looking to change jobs, change careers, change roles. But understanding how to do a proper interview is mightily important. If you know the guy you're applying for and whatever, it's a good for you. Obviously, it doesn't matter as much, but especially when you start veering out and you're going to a different company, a new company that's new to you, you're new to them, you don't know anybody in the building. It's extremely important you understand exactly how to interview, and you knock the interview out of the park. And there is definitely a right way to interview and a wrong way to interview. There's a right way to answer those questions and a wrong way to answer those questions. I mean, interviewing is an art. To me, all these things should be taught in all of our schools. Okay, you should be able to know how to do a proper interview when you graduate high school. That should be part of the diploma. Okay, and it's not. Unfortunately, it is not. And so if you're a parent, teach your kids this stuff. Okay, make sure they understand how to do an interview. Um, it's extremely important for your success. Absolutely important. That's the conclusion of today's video. I gotta get out of here and go run. Run. I gotta go. I got some meetings lined up today, so I got a busy day. So I come in here early today and get this knocked out for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you're enjoying the podcast so far. I know I'm enjoying coming in here and just kind of getting some things off my chest. I'm really trying to. I'm not going to push any political agenda on this channel. I'm not. It's not a conservative. It's not liberal. It's not left. It's not right. It's just we're in the middle. We're gonna be disciplined here on this channel. We're gonna talk about God a little bit on this channel. We're gonna talk about success. We're gonna talk about discipline, accountability, parenting, education, things like that. That's what we're here to talk about. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, because I personally don't care. I know red and blue, and I'm friends with people that are red and blue. It doesn't matter. Okay. In my world, the way I view the world, I don't care. Okay. Because honestly, when I see the news and stuff, the things that are being highlighted are radical people. Okay. Your everyday walking around people that's not who you're really seeing on there. You're seeing the radical, the extreme left or the extreme right. Okay. That's not your normal everyday, in my experience, human being that you're running across. Okay. That's why I don't like watching the news. I don't really watch the news much. I stay away from it because they're just trying to push certain things. There are other sources and ways to go get accurate information if you want to stay up to date with the news. So that's kind of what I try to do. So anyways, enjoy the rest of your guys' day. I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Be strategic. Be disciplined. God bless. Thank you, guys.